My banksters, welcome to the bank. You are here with the teller himself, Rob the Bank. Follow me as I follow money. Let's dive deep. My Johnny Manziel shit. Let's get rich. So, the video I'm gonna be reviewing today is, this seems dumb, but it gives me private jets for free from Dan Henry. I like a lot of Dan Henry videos. Seems like a pretty cool guy, so we're just gonna jump into it and see what he's talking about today.
Our private
Commercial.
Introducing.
I'm about to take this $40,000 private jet for free. Did I pay for it? Yes, sort of. But it actually didn't cost me anything. And that's because
So, let me just always lead this off. Whenever somebody, at least what I've noticed, watching these videos and watching a lot of these videos, a lot of times when people say they get things for free or they got it for like $1, $10, that's seemingly 40, 50, pretty expensive. It's usually because it's either some type of tax write-off, some type of, went and got a speaking engagement for $40,000 and I took a flight for $40,000, So it's essentially free because it's paid for. So am I saying that it's a bullshit? No, but it's never like I fucking won a raffle and got a jet for free. Like, it's not. It's some like numerically, it's a way that he got it for free. Essentially, that's essentially what he's saying. Like, numerically, in some type of math way, I got it essentially for free. So.
because I figured out a way to get stuff for free, and it seems kind of dumb, but it actually works. So I'm gonna show you how I managed to afford private jet trips, yacht trips, and even fancy hotels in Dubai. And you may think that you have to have a lot of money to do this, but you can do this at any stage and any level of scale. I'll teach you a new way to view luxury so that it can always be free. This concept is called time arbitrage, and I'll give you a couple of examples of it in practice. I'll start with a high level, like I'm doing it at, and then I'll show you how anyone can do it, even a high school student.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go grab my handy dandy notebook. And we're back. Also, let me take this time to also say, if you would like the summaries of these videos, book reviews, Harvard Business Review papers, pretty much reviews, all reviews that I do, I have a email list. It's only $5. You get all this content for $5, and you get it pretty much every day. If not every day, every other day. I do about 5 videos a day, and I also read. So one of the books I'm reading now. So if you want to sign up, the link will be in the description, and we'll go from there.
So here's the high level. I really don't want to fly Spirit Airlines. Last time I flew Spirit, I got stuck in this tiny little seat. My flight was delayed. I missed my connecting flight, and I almost missed an event.
Not to shit on Spirit, but if you fly Spirit, there's a good chance you're gonna be one. I try to avoid Spirit with my whole life.
that I was speaking at. Now, I made it, but that event ended up making my company over $250,000. If I would have missed that event, that would have been a $250,000 flight on Spirit Airlines. So I promised myself I would never fly Spirit again. So about a year later, I get invited on some really big podcasts that could, again.
So just from that little part alone, he said that if he missed choosing a certain type of transportation, he could have missed out on $250,000. That alone is saying that the time, he's valuing the time more. So even though he's essentially getting the planes for free, I'm just forecasting on what he's going at. But essentially what he's saying is the time of me, let's say it's a 4-hour flight in time, but then I have to go take my bags. I gotta go do this and all this other stuff, and it equates to 12 hours of complete flying time versus if I just get to play a $40,000 jet, I can get on 10 minutes before or 15 minutes before. I don't have to go through the lines and all that. I get on, get over there, get $250,000, guaranteed I get my $250,000, and I essentially net profit $210. It's worth the time. So I think that's essentially what he's saying, but we're just gonna let it play and go from there.
Bring my company a substantial amount of money. And they were in Vegas. And of course, the only flight from Florida to Vegas is Spirit. Yay. And I was flying into Dubai and I only had like 1 day difference, so there was no way I could have a flight delayed. So I started checking into private flights and I found that I could get a private flight from Florida to Vegas, fuel, pilot, everything for about $40,000. Now, one thing I've learned over the years about rich people is that they see opportunities that are worth a lot and then they pay to not miss those opportunities. So even though it made financial sense for me to pay $40,000 for this flight to not miss a potentially multi-100,000, maybe even millions of dollars in potential revenue for my company, there's one crucial factor that I wasn't considering, and that is that I'm cheap. I don't want to pay 40 grand for a flight. That's bananas. So I had to figure out a way to get it for free. But there's two aspects to this. There's making your time valuable enough to be able to afford things, and then there's getting stuff for free. So let's start with the first one. Time arbitrage works at any level, even if you're starting from zero. So imagine you're a high school student and there's a new video game coming out or a piece of clothing, limited edition. And if you go to the mall and you wait in line for several hours, you can get a $50 discount. Well,
okay, real quick, I'm gonna just touch on this. So just those two things, what he said, valuing your time and getting things for free. Keep it real short and simple. Just on this example of actually like getting shoes in a line. You could pay somebody to hold your spot in line. And you personally don't have to. Being rich or a wealthy mentality or having to think rich is all about delegation, because you want to save as much time as possible. That's the whole purpose. This is why Uber's a big thing, DoorDash is a big thing, Kroger Foods, all this stuff are big because you can delegate and save your time, or getting a private chef, private flights. This is all things to buy back your time, to spend your time on things that's going to generate more money. All that means. So to have somebody wait in line for you is better than you sitting in line and being able to, while somebody else is waiting in line, let's see, I think I might put this in what's it called? While you have somebody waiting in line, excuse me, in line in the store. This is you paying somebody to wait in line. You could be here with a happy face, making money. So while you have somebody in line, you could be making money You can even break even. Let's say you break even and let's say you only have $100 in your pocket, but you want to get those shoes. You pay this person $100 to wait in this line. You pay the person $100 to wait in the line, you broke. But you're not broke because you can go back to work while this person is still waiting in line to get these shoes. That's essentially what he's saying. So now, okay, I got a spot in line for sure. I know I can go here and make some sales. If I make this amount of sales, I can go get the shoes. Person gets in line, wow, you can still go get the shoes now. That's essentially how rich people think. They think of delegation and buying back time. And I think that's what he's going to talk about.
Well, you can take those hours that you would have spent standing in line and you can go mow a lawn and you can make $50 so that you can afford the thing that you want and not have to worry about standing in line. And you will have gained a customer mowing the lawn who can then pay you again and again and again. Because, you know, grass grows. He's going to need it cut again. And then his neighbor's like, oh, I need my grass cut. Now you got another customer. See, your time just became more valuable. Or you could even take those hours and learn how to do something like graphic design or coding and go out and do freelance work. And again, your time just became more valuable. It starts to now not make sense to stand in line. Same thing with flying commercial. Let's say that a cheap flight has 1 or 2 stops, but the more expensive flight is direct. Well, if you pay extra money for the direct flight, you can take those saved hours and you can, again, learn a skill that will make you more money. Or if you have a business, you can spend that time closing deals. And even if you just paid for the damn flight and you didn't make any money, you're still taking that time and learning something that makes your time more valuable so that next time you don't even have to worry about it. You can just pay for it. And even if you're dead broke, go in the garage, find an old bike or something that you've been meaning to sell but haven't, put it on Craigslist, put it on Facebook Marketplace, sell it, get the more expensive ticket, take the time, learn the skill, boom, now your time is more valuable. Time arbitrage is about using your time to make your time more valuable so that it makes more sense to pay money to save your time. And this compounds because the more time you spend making your time more valuable, the more it makes sense to spend money on saving time, which means you have even more time, which means it can be even more valuable. And it just goes bananas until eventually you're flying on private jets because it just doesn't make sense to take a commercial flight. Now, yes.
So, and I just listening to him, this also is another thing. I should have wasn't talking. So just think about basics. So companies, right, that have a CEO. And under a CEO, you have, I'm gonna just make it real simple. You have a chief financial officer, chief operations officer, and chief marketing officer. The CEO is focusing on the big picture, while the CFO gets to focus on the finances. They all get to focus. And then from that focus, each one has, a CFO has an accountant, the COO has managers, the CMO. So it trickles down, but everybody gets to focus. Essentially, they get to focus on the bigger part of their job. So this is what they're doing. And then it's a tree. This is why it's trees like that. The whole point is to be able to focus on what your job is and do your job extremely well. Because when you can do that, focus, clarity are the two biggest things that, and for any person to be successful, focus and clarity. You need those two. Once you get those two, you can't be stopped. But you need focus. So what he's saying, once again, just reiterating it, once you can focus on what you do good or what generates you money, you delegate everything else out. That's essentially what it is. So
this will take some time, but my God, if you don't start right now, it'll never happen for you. The lesson here is that penny pinching is keeping you poor. Billionaire Jack Ma once said that if you give a monkey a choice between bananas and money, he's gonna choose the bananas because the monkey doesn't realize that the money can buy way more bananas than what you gave them in the first place. And similarly, if you give the average person a choice between a job and a business, they take the job because they don't realize that the business can earn them way more money than a salary. See, this is what I call normie thinking. Do you want to be a normie?
Well, let me touch on this real quick, because even me right now. So you can even have a business, or you can even be in a job. What separates you is once again, we go back to the point of the video. What separates you is the ability to buy back your time. Having a job is cool, but can you hire an assistant to make more money? You can have a business, but your business is your job, because a business is, if you have a business, which means you have employees to delegate things out to. That's essentially what a business is. A business is not something if you do it by yourself, you have a job, essentially. That's what that means. If you do it on your own, you have a job. But if a business is something you could delegate out to other people to get something done. And I'm not trying to like shit on anybody or say it's wrong for anything like this is wrong, because it's not. There's people who make millions of dollars with a business, but they only worry about themselves. Perfectly fine. But that's a job. A business in and of itself is when you can hire other things, and you can delegate tasks to other people to accomplish a goal while you get to focus on what you do extremely well. That's essentially what that is. You can have a job, work for somebody, but if you can delegate, if you have an assistant, you can delegate tasks while you're focusing on this part that generates the most money. Then you still get to buy back your time. So even though I agree for the most part of what he's saying, I only disagree with this part because it doesn't focus on the theme or the central premise of what he's saying here. Is saying to be able to buy back your time, you can still have a job and still buy back your time. So.
Or do you want to be rich? Can't get rich thinking like a normie. Because normies don't see the long-term value of their time. That's why most people just go through life, wake up, eat shit, go to work, eat shit, sleep, eat shit, eat shit, eat shit. And then they literally have to eat shit because they don't have enough money to afford the finer things in life. Unsuccessful people trade their time for money. Successful people trade their money for time. Now that you understand time arbitrage, let me show you how I used it to make the jet trip essentially free. At this point in my career, I have a decent sized social media following and email list because I constantly trade money for time and increase my skills. And so I sent out an email and I made a post and I said, hey, I'm gonna be in Vegas on these dates. I'm gonna do a one-day seminar. You can come to the seminar and I'll help you with your business. I'll ask any question that you have. The price is $5,000. So I only needed to sell 8 people to make $40,000 to pay for the jet and essentially cancel it out and make it free.
So once again, just kind of, because I heard what he said and I kind of want to touch on. So even though he's still trading his time for money, because he still has to talk to these people and still has to do these things, he's essentially still trading his time for money. So, but there are still, his focus, what he's trying to get across is that successful people focus on trading money for time. And that goes back to what I was saying about you can still have a job, but as long as you get an assistant, you can still buy back your time. He's in both, which is good. He's intersecting both. He's saying $5,000, I'll talk to you for an hour or whatever it may be. And he still gets to buy, he's still selling his time, but it's sales. So he can make it, well, technically he really can't because he still only has 24 hours in a day. But he's still making that sale, but he also can delegate. He also can say, you know what? This question is not for me. Talk to this person. This is a better question for this person. he can still delegate that to somebody else. So that's still a thing, but he's intersecting both because, like you said, unsuccessful people trade time for money and successful people trade money for time. He's doing both, which is essentially, it's still good. And I'm not sitting here saying that what he's saying is wrong. I'm just pointing out the small nuances of what it is. I still completely agree with what he's saying. The overarching premise or theme of what he's saying is successful people trade their time for money. Completely agree with what he's saying. I just think that part, because he's intersecting both. You can have a job and have an assistant. You could be a CEO of a company, have an assistant that does other tasks for you, or have COOs and these other parts of the business where people are working for the overarching thing. Still agree with what he's saying, but there's small nuances of what he's saying that I think needs to be pointed out. But I still agree with what he's saying.
Well, we accidentally sold 9 tickets, so I actually made a little bit of money. And the jet was free. Now you might think, well, that's you, Dan. Nobody's gonna pay me $5,000 to answer questions. And you are right. They probably won't. But I started this on a very small, tiny scale, and here's how I did it. In 2012, I wanted to go on a cruise with my girlfriend, but I didn't have the money. At the time, blogging was becoming popular. So I set a day aside and I learned WordPress, which is the popular blogging software. I learned how to set it up and launch your blog, which honestly took not even a day to learn. Then I made a post on Craigslist offering a free seminar on how to start your blog. And I said, come to the seminar, you'll learn how to start your blog, and you'll even get it set up by the time you leave. Well, in order to have a blog, you have to have what's called hosting. And at the time, hosting companies were offering like $150 per sign up if you referred somebody to their hosting platform. So I held the seminar, I had like 30 people come, all for free. I taught them how to start a blog, and then I said, okay, now let's set the blog up in real time so that it's done by the time you leave. Go to this link and pay for hosting. So they all went to the link, they paid for hosting, and I made $150 per attendee, and I ended up making like $3 grand that day. And that completely paid for the cruise. We went on, we had a fantastic time, and my girlfriend later became my wife and the mother of my cute, adorable baby boy. I'm just gonna shove his picture in your face so you see the cuteness. Anyway.
I also want to point out this. This is sales. Well, it's what he was just talking about with the web host is affiliate marketing, AKA sales. Once again, the overarching thing is sales. This is affiliate marketing is a part of sales. It's for somebody else, but you're still making a sale for somebody else. So what he's also, and sales falls under the auspice of buying your time back, because you essentially don't have to spend your time delivering the service, which is why most service-based businesses are better, because you can make the sale and have somebody else deliver the service for you. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. But sales, once again, I want to point out that sales is, say this, sales is the occupation of the wealthy. Wealthy people are in sales. Mark Cuban did door-to-door. You can go through a slew of people who are billionaires, multimillionaires. A lot of them are in sales, have trained in door-to-door sales or some type of sales. So sales is the occupation of the wealthy. The more you practice in sales, the more you can fall into successful people trading money for time. That's what you can fall into. So
the lesson here is that most people don't take time to learn new things. So if you take that time and then you spoon feed it to them, you can make money doing that. And the time that you spend learning it, instead of wasting that on saving money, or even worse, Netflixing and chilling, go learn the thing. Now, I've been using time arbitrage for years, so here's another example of how I used it to pay my way through college. So I went to a very expensive college. It was a specialty school where I learned audio engineering, and it was about an hour away from my house. So not only was the school expensive, but I had this old Chevy Blazer that just drank gasoline. So even the trip back and forth was pricey. I would sometimes even sleep in my car if I had a late class and an early class the next morning just to save money. Well, one day I'm in a Guitar Center and there's this guy who was looking at audio equipment, and I struck up a conversation with him and I just gave him some advice on the right audio equipment to buy for his home studio. He was so impressed by my advice that he offered to pay me $100 to go to his house and teach him how to use his home studio software. Now, he could have been a murderer, but I needed money. Thankfully, he wasn't, and it was the easiest $100 I ever made. So I got an idea. I went on Craigslist and I made a post. I said, hey, for 50 bucks an hour, I will get on Zoom with you and I will walk you through how to use your home studio software. So I started doing that. I got fully booked out, and not only did I end up—
Real quick, jumping into it, service. Service-based business has very low overhead and very high profit margin. So anybody who starts, anybody who starts a service-based business, it's an easy way to make a lot of money with very low overhead and to make a lot of money in a short amount of time. So, and sales with the service-based business. Perfect.
Up paying my way through college, but I was making more money doing that than what I would have made with the degree that I would have got if I would have stayed in college. So my time became so much more valuable that it didn't even make sense to go to college anymore. So I dropped out, and thus began my journey in entrepreneurship. Enough about me. Here's how to use time arbitrage in your life. First thing you need to do is eliminate all the things in your life that are preventing you from making your time more valuable. Just as I learned skills that made my time more valuable so that I could make more money, you can do this as well. First thing is shopping. Grocery shopping takes frickin' hours. So use Instacart. Yes, I get it. It's a little bit more expensive. There's a delivery fee.
Or just have your girlfriend do it. Or have her cook for you. See, and so this is kind of the, I'm not going to touch on this, but I'll touch on it quickly. This is also where this kind of falls in with having a partner or having a significant other, because this is also where you can have them do other tasks for you. Like, once again, once again, you can have them do the shopping. You can have them do the cleaning of the house and all these other things, raising the children. So instead of having this Instacart, you can have your significant other do these things. So, and it's a tad bit more lower cost because she gets to go with you to do stuff. It's not, because if you got a girlfriend, it's definitely gonna be more expensive, but it's worth it because you get to spend that. You get to actually know these people. So,
but that's multiple hours per week that you could use learning a skill that'll make you money. In fact, Instacart has helped its customers save over 700 million hours. It saves me about 3 hours a week. And trust me, those 3 hours a week are worth a lot more than the few dollars I pay for a delivery fee. Next thing is driving. So when I fly, I usually...
Also, this is saying real quick, just to touch on this. Alex Hermosi said the same thing. He used to go to Chipotle. He spent, I forgot, it was a freaking shit ton of money. But he spent a lot of money at Chipotle because it checked off the box of protein, the macro goals, his nutrient goals, and it was time efficient. Two of the biggest things, but he's not deficient in vitamins and minerals or his nutrients, and his time gets to be saved because he gets to go there. It's done in like less than a minute or two, and you can get it done. And now you can order it online. So you can order your Chipotle meal online, or which is even, I'm take this to a whole nother level. I thought this was like the most ingenious thing. is now you can go and get like a party meal, essentially. You're like a 10 people party and it's already made for you. Oh, genius. But I don't know. I don't know the time differential between those two, but though it gets to save time, essentially. So
fly out of Orlando, which is about 2 hours away, because I just get better direct flights. So instead of driving there myself, I take an Uber, and the Uber costs about $200. But while I'm in the car, I can get work done that makes me money. In fact, I can close deals responding to Instagram DMs and make way more money than $200. Sometimes one deal is worth $8,000, $10,000 to my company. Why on earth would I save $200 when I could be closing deals? So for you, imagine you had a product that you sold that cost a mere $200, and you're in the car, you're talking to people on Instagram, you close one deal in that 2-hour drive you've paid for the Uber. You don't even have to charge a lot to make your time more valuable. Do you see how important it is to value your time over money? Because look, if I offered to wire you $1 million right now, you'd take it, right? But what if you couldn't wake up tomorrow? No, of course you wouldn't take it. But what if it was 10 million? What if it was 100 million? What if it was 1 billion? The answer is still no. Why? Because I'm taking your time. I'm paying you $1 billion for it, but sorry, it ain't worth it, because time is infinitely more valuable than money, and most of us just don't realize that. And when I realized it, that's when my life took off.
I drink a lot of coffee. I just wouldn't go to sleep the next day. Never said I couldn't wake up if I stayed up the next day, I couldn't wake up the next day. Blue ball.
When you live with this mindset, you can't help but level up. And here's one more perfect example of that. I recently decided to move to Dubai, and my mother calls me and she says, "Dan, I've heard Dubai is like one of the most expensive cities in the world. Are you sure you can afford that?" And I told her, "Mom, believe it or not, I can't afford not to live there." Because when I went to visit for a month, I made so many connections that I added an extra $1 million in revenue to my company just from the connections. In fact, I met a guy who was holding an event with only 11 people, just a small little event. And he offered me to come and do the pitch for that event because he was great at teaching, but not good at pitching what he had to sell in a live setting. So I went there, I did the pitch, and I got a $36,000 commission just for 90 minutes of my time, because I've spent years learning how to sell from stage, making my time more valuable. That's why that 90 minutes made me 36 grand, which, by the way, paid for the entire trip to Dubai. Then my buddy Dennis Yu pulled me on stage at Affiliate World, and I got to speak in front of thousands of people exposing my brand, just because I happened to be in Dubai. "Hey Dan, come up here, come talk for a minute." And I just thought to myself, imagine if I lived there full time, how much extra money I could make. So I asked my wife, "Hey, want to move to Dubai?" She said yes. So we bought a house in Dubai and began our new life there, because time is money. And when you value your time over money, you will be able to afford whatever you want as time goes by. So ask yourself, where are you wasting your time today? What skills can you learn to make your time more valuable so that you don't have to spend your time doing dumb stuff that you don't want to do? And you can have nicer things while you do it. Now, if you want to save even more time, you can watch my video on how I invested $500,000 into Business Gurus and what I learned. That way you can save 500 grand and learn it a lot quicker. You can check that video out here. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
Yeah, and so just kind of summarizing that last part is understanding the front end cost of things and the back end cost of things. The front end cost is, let's say, the flight. It's cheaper, so I pay the $100 to get to where I'm going. But the back end cost is there's more stops. The plane probably won't. It won't probably be on time. There might be, the discomfort. I probably won't be as comfortable on this flight. There's an array of more problems that come with it. Let's just say, but if I get with a better airline, pay $300, I get to be in first class, I get a better flight that's direct, and I get to be, and I get to be around more people that are in the space. Being in first class is such a better space to be in, because every time I've been in first class, watching the people next to me reading, looking at news, checking stocks, like these people are on some type of, they're focused on something that's going to generate them more money, or focus on something that they can better themselves. So being in first class is already good because you get to pay to be around better people. In the sense of if you're trying to make more money. And the time part is that you can get on the flight faster and get off the flight faster as well. So people treat you a little bit nicer. it's so many. The back end part of paying for a better flight and being in first class is insurmountable to somebody who's just get economy, or people look at you different. Just keeping it, all the way honest. People gonna look at you kind of different if you're just sitting in economy versus if you're sitting in first class. Even if you look like, they're like, what is this person doing here? They're gonna look at you kind of different because you're in first class. You have the ability to pay for it. So they'll be more interested if you're somewhat of an enigma being in first class. But essentially what he's saying is, I agree. Make sure that you delegating and being able to buy back your time. Unsuccessful people, they trade time for money, and successful people trade money for time, essentially. So try to find ways to delegate things, try to find ways to separate your time from money. And the more you can do it, well, I'll say this. Try to find ways to value your money, value your time in higher proportions of value. So if you, like he said, if you want to have an hour of coaching, you got to pay $5,000. My hour of time is more valuable than being working at, let's say, McDonald's and getting paid $15 an hour or $20 an hour. My hour is worth $5,000. And I can still delegate this task. I can delegate this task to somebody else if it's not in my expertise. So in the expertise of the business. So find ways to delegate your time, find ways to increase your value of time, and you'll be more successful, man. So that's it. So I'm trying to find a good way to end this, but this is a good episode. So I'm glad you followed me as I followed. Catch me on the next episode. Follow me as I follow money. We're gonna dive deeper and get rich.